this one to let you see what I'm going to be replacing. I'm going to go and replace this contactor, and then I'm going to test out this capacitor right here, and then if that's bad I'll replace that also. So I'm just going to sit it down here and then go to work, because it takes a little bit to get these capacitors out, or contactors out, and replace them. So there we go. Just for safety precautions, just as a reminder, you always want to go and shut off the breaker in the breaker panel for the Slurpee. Sometimes they'll be labeled, sometimes they won't, but it's a good idea that if you can't find the breaker to shut down power, then do your best to get behind the machine and pull out the cord, because you definitely want to have this powered down when you're replacing stuff or working on the electrical at all. Contactor wires first, get those out the way. Remove the rectifier wire. See that? That'll sit down. That'll go back on later. Not right now. Okay, usually what I do is I go ahead and get these off first. These are the line wires. Okay, this is power coming in. This is power going out to the machine. I usually take these out first, these two, black and white. As you can see, white's on top, black's on the bottom. They're usually labeled like T1, T2. Same with these over here, but these are usually labeled L1, L2. These are usually T1, T2, like that. But I also like to loosen these up ahead of time, because later I'll have to take those out, and it's a good thing that, you know, if you're not familiar with it, to do these wire by wire. Get your or to take a picture of this setup as it is, and then that way you have an idea. Once you take all the wiring off, you have an idea where all the wiring's supposed to go, because sometimes these labels are on the wire or they're rubbed off, so you can't tell where they go. So it's a good thing to always take a picture, and then if you're not already familiar with the wiring of it, and then that way you know where all the wiring's gonna go. Light out the way, and then I'll get these off. And we're working on taking out the rear screws in the back. See if I can get you a view on that. It's like right all the way back here, all the way to the back. There's 4 screws. There's one screw on each corner in the back, and I'm getting those out now, and then we'll take this out, then we can pull off the rest of the wires and put the new one in. Another thing I like to do too is pull this transformer out of the way, because that gets in the way also. So I usually it has 2 screws on the bottom that I'm undoing those now, and then I'll pull this out and have a little more room. As you can see, the access is not very good, and there's not a lot of space in there. Okay, those are out. It's the transformer, and I'm going to show you here. I don't know if you can see it, but you can see the dust. That dust is from this transformer getting carbon buildup on it, and the carbon buildup drops down here and lands on top of the transformer. So that's a indicator that the contactor is bad, and it's better off to change it now. We have to run into that problem later. Okay, dropping things here. No, 2 more screws to go, and then I'll have this out of there. Another thing I do is once I take these screws out here, once I get these out, get the wires put aside, and then put the screws back in, because you're going to have to pull these wires off back here once you get it all off, and you don't want to pull the terminals with it. So I put those back in too. You don't have to put them all the way in, just enough so that they don't pull out when you pull the other wires off. One more screw to take off here, and then we'll get going. I'll take this out. As you can see, we got two blue wires on the bottom, two brown wires up top. They're labeled L1, L2. Okay, I'm gonna pull those off now. As you can see, they don't give you a lot of slack on the wires, so you just gotta be used to working in a tight spot. Get the L1 and L2s off. And I sit this contactor aside for now. Grab the new one. And this is my new contactor. You can see it brand new. I'm going to get this set up now. Okay, so we had blue. And I don't know if you can see it, but it's L1, L2. Okay, same thing corresponds on this side is T1, T2. Okay, get this. While I have this out right now, I'm going to go ahead and loosen the L1 and L2 screws so it's not so hard to get apart, and then I can put the inlet power back in once I get it set up. So those are loose, and then I usually loosen these too, just so that they're already loose. so I can put the screws back in. Good thing to try is try to get the cross screws in first, then that way you have a good hold on it, and you can get the other two on once you got it set in there. You just want to make sure there's no wires that are pinched or cut or anything like that. Okay, and right now I'm just trying to clear out a little lane so I could get in there with this other screw and get this screwed in. Oh, sorry.
No, it's okay, sir.
There you go.
Trying to figure out what I want to.
I get stretched out here.
Trying to win some money and quit my job.
Yeah, right. I hope you win. I hope you win. That's the old contactor. I'm going to put all of the wiring back on, and then we'll test out the capacitor. So right now we have to wire these back up. So you have to remember we had black on the bottom, white on the top. Back here it was blue on bottom, brown on top. See here, same blue, brown on top, blue on bottom. And we'll do the same thing with that. So you have to remember which order you had those wires. That's why it's good to take a picture of it, or if you already, if you're not familiar with it. Okay, that's the inlet side. You always want to check once you got these screwed down. Make sure your screw is tight. Make sure the screws are tight. You don't need loose contacts in there. Okay, so you have to make sure those terminals are screwed down tight, and always check the wire. Give it the wiggle test. Try to wiggle the wire. If it wiggles loose, then you got to tighten it some more. Gotta put our rectifier on with these. These here, you definitely want to give them the wiggle test just to make sure that they're not loose, because you got two wires in there together. You got the rectifier wire and then the lead wire. So you want to make sure those are in there tight. Those look good. These here, contactor wires have to go back on to the coil wire. These wires pull in the coil for the contactor to start the compressor. And so the rectifier wire goes on. Do it like that. So there we go. We got our contactor back in. It's ready to go. Now we're going to check the capacitor just to make sure that it's at its proper level, 40 microfarads. Okay, so for this, we're going to be doing a capacitor test. We'll be testing the capacitor. So on our meter, this is my multimeter. We're going to move this up to the capacitor setting, capacitance setting. Alright, and then I'm going to take my leads and go across this capacitor to test the level. If you ever testing these and you know, I like to use the alligator clips, but if you don't have them, it's okay. So right here, I'm going to go across here and here. And we're reading 38.8 microfarads. And as you can see, that this is at a 40 microfarad, but it's plus or minus 5. So more than likely this one is within range because it's plus or minus 5. So I will leave this in place and then we'll start it back up and test it out. Okay, now we're back. I got the unit buttoned up pretty much, and put the side panel back on, put the lower panel back on, and now I'm just letting the barrels freeze down. So you can see on this barrel number 1, we're at looking like 18 degrees on the inlet. The return is 19 degrees, so those are both within range. That's where you like to see them, like close proximity like that. So we'll just let these barrels go ahead and freeze down, and then we'll be able to close this out. We'll be all set.